What up? Welcome to Homegrown Hustle, where local brilliance takes the center stage. I'm your host, Matt Eichmann. Together, we're about to embark on an inspiring journey. Our community thrives on the wisdom of insightful leaders that are right here in our backyard. And we're bringing their expertise to your ears. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or simply seeking inspiration, this podcast is your guide. Join us every week in celebrating innovation, guidance, and the power to inspire greatness. Let's explore the stories that shape our local business landscape, and together, let's ignite the spark of excellence.
What up, hustlers? I got a special episode here for you today. I'm here with Gabe Steinberg, a digital media wizard and podcast expert. So we're going to talk about a lot of different things. I've been working with Gabe for a while. Absolute amazing when it comes to ideation and creating the vision for the content. But a lot of good topics to come soon about just what is content for a small business. So Gabe, before we dive into any of that, do you want to take a little bit of time and just kind of tell us about yourself, get us a little warmed up before we dive into the good stuff?
Sure, yeah. Thanks for having me. Welcome to Green Screen Studio. This is our setup here in our podcast studio. I started my career actually as an actor. So I was a performer on camera. So I'd be
Tom Segura.
It's Tom Segura style. Yeah. I get that a lot. So I would
Professional Tom Segura doppelganger.
I haven't gotten paid for it yet, but I should start marketing that. So like I said, I was an actor and actually did a little bit of stand-up comedy. Not well, but I tried it. And I would go to auditions and I would read scripts and I'd be like, this is not very good. Nobody talks like this. Not everybody's name is Carl, like it's just not a lot of creativity. And so I was like, well, you know what? I have buddies who do video production and create things. So let's maybe turn this into something like from a production standpoint. So I got behind the camera and started producing, and we started doing these online commercial contests. So there was something called the Doritos Crash the Super Bowl contest. And what that was, basically, it was a brilliant marketing play by Doritos. Was they said, we're going to offer $1 million to the crowd. We're going to crowdsource our content for the Super Bowl. So we're going to ask our, loyal fans,
absolute genius,
our Dorito eaters, to create their own video production of a 30-second commercial. We're going to select the best 3, and then all of those are going to get aired on the Super Bowl as Doritos commercials. Super cool. Thousands of submissions. Mm-hmm. We did it for about 6 years in a row. And then one year we got really far. We got shout outs on KWB, Cool 108. We got an article in the Star Trib. Like, people were watching it, loving it. So much fun. And we didn't quite win that one, but it did lead us to start servicing kind of these online clients, and then started booking clients. And so it was just kind of like being able to be creative and have a client with, brand recognition. So like Verizon, Build-A-Bear Workshop, Sally Hansen Beauty Products.
You worked with some big companies. It
was fun. It was a blast because they were seeing the value that we were bringing from a creative standpoint. And it was like, okay, maybe there's something here. So then that led to, more on the corporate side, training videos.
How long ago was this?
Oh man, when did I start? Probably 15 years ago. The commercial itself was
way before like short form media content.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, and funny story is I actually cut my teeth on a sketch comedy show on public access when I was in high school. So that's kind of like, I've always been in this, and just the performance and the writing and the I like stuff that makes me laugh. Like, I love Geico. I think Geico does an amazing job because you're watching the commercial and you're like, I like this commercial. And they're just like, Geico. I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it.
Little gecko. Such a cute little fella.
So that got me into the corporate side. And now it's like, how do we leverage, because, a 30-second commercial, Doritos probably would have paid $1 million just to produce the commercial. Mm-hmm. So that's not sustainable in today's landscape of social media. How do we get more valuable content more quickly, shorter format, because nobody's got attention spans. Mm-hmm. So how do we facilitate that for our clients so that we can, offer them more content for less money, basically?
And content that makes money too, right? Because like, that's the thing. Anybody can kind of put a piece of content together. You got 11-year-olds out there that are making millions of dollars on YouTube. Yeah. And so how do we, as small business owners, like how would you recommend we think about content creation and like the strategy behind that? Let's say for a company that's like below 5 to 10 million in revenue? Like, what are the goals?
Yeah. I mean, I think the idea is that it's still marketing, right? So know, like, and trust. You got to have your target audience. Who are you specifically talking to, right? So, you know, if you're talking about, I don't know, maybe like a pest control company or something, right? Perhaps, like, are you targeting more of the rural areas or the urban areas? Or, you know, who is the purchase decision maker in the household who would buy your service? So thinking about that, and then thinking about what kind of content do they like, you know? And how can you build that trust with that individual, build that relationship, as opposed to it just being, oh, what's the common trend, or, you know, what music track is everybody using, and I'll just do a crazy dance or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, Abracadabra's never putting out TikTok type of stuff, but the trend, there's something to say about trends. But I think with social media, what I see a lot is the voice of the business isn't really, it's not clearly defined, let alone any of the content creation. Like, what does it sound like to our customer when we're communicating? And that can get tied all the way back into branding and all that. But keeping it simple, I've found, is like really valuable. And that consistency actually like leaves an impact with people. So things like a podcast, which you said earlier, everybody should do a podcast.
Everyone should have a podcast. I mean,
and we'll get into the why you think that, but from this, just creating that structure to do that and being consistent with it, you learn a lot through that process. But what happens is now you're putting out more content, and although it might not be where Mr. Beast is or something like that, you're putting out content that somebody's consuming for free.
Yep.
Like, it's free. Unless you throw an ad at it, that is free. It just takes the time to go into it. So it's a very leverageable thing for any small business that's out there. But the delivery channel to do that, and then the time to put into it. I don't know about you, but I see a lot of people just trying to check boxes instead of actually looking at content creation as this is part of our marketing and part of something that's going to drive ROI, not just something that I want my kids or my uncle or something like that to see. Right. Right.
Well, and to that kids and uncle situation, it's like a lot of people like, I know I need content. I know I need better social media. I'll just hire my nephew who's got an iPhone. Okay, cool. That's fine. But what's your strategy? Let's say you get a viral video, which isn't really a thing anymore. Used to be like 1 million views. Now I'm sure everyone's got a viral video of something. So that's not as applicable. Like, I used to get clients who'd be like, all we want is a viral video. It's like, oh,
coming
that's
right
it?
up.
Oh, sure. Here you go. $68. Like, what? Like, it's just not a tangible thing. So now it's like you have to fight so hard just to get people to watch your whole video. Like, you have like 3 seconds to make an impression, which is insane.
Wild. It is very frustrating. We would really appreciate it if you'd watch more than 3 seconds of whatever piece of content you're watching right now, because like their brain just doesn't want to stop on it. Right. It's all like, it's been reverse engineered and like programmed for chemical releases and all that science.
Dopamine hits.
But for the business, like, I hear you saying strategy over and over, and there really needs to be intent behind it, because the ease of getting something to go live nowadays, like, anybody could do it. Like, really quickly and easily, as long as you got one of these, you got a smartphone, you can get it there really quick. And sometimes that's how you win, is just by getting it out there. But if that's all you're doing is just getting it out there and you're not actually putting focus and intent behind it, well, then you either fizzle out or it represents your brand poorly, right?
And it's also about the authenticity too, right? It's like, if you're doing a live stream, that's you. That if you are the brand, if you are the face, if you are the figurehead, then that gets people to learn who you are as a person and how you interact with other people and how you do business, right? That is more relatable to an audience. They don't want to be sold to. They don't want the call to action. You know, like, it's very formulaic, and you can hide that call to action within. Like, Geico is a really great example, because they spend a bunch of money on commercials and everybody needs insurance, but they're thoughtful enough to not just play one note like some of the other insurance companies do, because they're just like, well, we'll just we'll just do this and we'll just keep giving flow something to do. And it's like, I'm kind of done with flow, like let's maybe ebb now.
I like that, Gabe. That was good.
Yeah. So it's challenging, but it's like the more you can be you on camera and the more you can present you and your natural interactions with people, that's when people are going to like it. They're going to like the day in the life stuff. They're going to like the behind the scenes. Just they want to get to know you on a personal level so that they can know, like, and trust you.
Why do you, so you said getting to know who you are as a person is important, like that authenticity. But then you also said that it's challenging for somebody to do that. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Because I'm sure you've seen any type of
course. It's because
phobia.
Yeah. Well, and it's, you assume that if it's popular somewhere else, if somebody else did it, it's like, I'll get references sometimes, like, especially in the acting world, like in, let's say 2015, they're like, we just want like a Jim from The Office. It's like, why are we still talking about Jim from The Office? Nothing against Jim from The Office, but it's not in tune with who your audience is right now. Like, you should be doing that research. You should be doing that deep dive. You should be actually going into the community, which is really cool, because I know you do that. And that's a lot of where the exposure is and the brand recognition. So those components with the live streams, with the intentional subject matter of the content that you're creating, you're going to get so much more traction. And then once you get those eyeballs, once you get those 1,000 people that watch a video or a commercial or just a little snippet, take that, leverage that with Facebook or Google. You got to beta test that a little bit more and be more thoughtful of like just the analytics and the back end of your content in order to actually make that return on investment.
That I'm going to pause because I think you guys should rewind that and let's do it again. Because what you said is so important there. The ROI to any of this stuff is really what it comes down to. But the priorities of how you think about ROI they're going to kind of be different depending on the stage in the business, right? If a business isn't on social media nowadays, the social proof it's not really there. Like, people look for that as a source of truth nowadays. When it comes to just, let's take like the easy ones, Facebook, Instagram. When it comes to content creation for those channels, for a company that's, let's say, 1 to 3 guys, less than $500,000 in revenue, like, how should they think about content? And then I'll go up to some bigger.
Yeah, I mean, obviously depends on what they're selling and what their business is.
Let's just talk like a home service business.
Sure. So home service, Facebook is great because you have, Facebook kind of leans towards that older demographic, right? So people who don't want to clean out their air ducts or they don't want to, shock their pool or whatever the heck, right? And so those people are engaging with Facebook. So now if you're targeting those specific people, if you've figured out your demographics and your area, like, you can literally target zip codes and like, it's really cool. Like, there's some huge opportunity. And then if you've beta tested one, maybe on Instagram, one on Facebook. Okay, this one performed a little bit better. This was the style of content. This was the subject matter. This was our target audience. Okay, well, it makes sense that Facebook probably is going to get you a little bit better traction than Instagram, because Instagram's like, home service isn't really flashy, right? It's not very, the video components of Instagram are similar to Facebook, but you're going to get a skewed younger demographic on Instagram. So those types of things, but you gotta try it out, like test it out, see where your audience is, your audience.
All that can be done just with an iPhone too. Like, you can literally run an entire company's social media just on an iPhone.
Yep.
So there's actually no excuses for anybody that's out there running a business or part of a business. For home services, some of the best content, the most engaging, the things the customer actually cares about is not anything where it's a talking head up there. It's a technician out there at somebody's home doing something.
Yep.
Like the real stuff. So you can't really create that. That has to be kind of taken as you're going throughout the day. So the new thing I'm seeing is there has to be a level of engagement from the people on your team when it comes to social media.
Yes.
Right? Because now it doesn't have to be this creation aspect. It's really just documenting and back-end editing, as long as you've got the channels there to do it. But when you're 1 to 3 man, You don't got a lot of resources. You got 3 guys out there. You just got to make it fun and get your name out there. Something's better than nothing.
Well, and there's some cool cheat codes now. Like I'm always looking for new tech and new developments. And, I love AI. I think don't use it only, like use it as a supplement to the things that you're weaker at. Like I love it for ideation. Like the blank page is super intimidating. And so if you can just kind of get a wireframe, boom, then I can punch that up. I can make it sound better. And, for something like a home services company, another game changer are those meta glasses. So if you're not familiar with these, it's video photos on the glasses. You just push a little button, but you can do live streams. And if I'm fixing a water heater or something, right? Beep, boop. That's all you have to do. And then you just upload that immediately. So the path of least resistance is just get it done, get the content out. Don't worry so much about what it is, but if you can offer value, offer that free game, like DIY.
Like this is what we're doing at this person's home or in this business. We're doing it because of this. If you're interested, let us know.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be this big Mr. Beast type of
correct
$2 million in the first 3 seconds of every video. It doesn't have to be that.
No.
It can literally just be you walking around a customer's home, selfie mode, talking to, it could even be that customer.
Absolutely. I mean, for sure, ask your customers before you do that, but yes.
Correct. And so 1 to 3 guys, it's really like, we got to drive revenue up as much as possible. Any type of content we're putting out there is somewhat on the fly. There might be a little strategy to it, but it's really just a matter of trying to get in the rhythm of having it
consistency.
Be part of what we do.
Yep.
Right. But that's good because we don't have a lot of budget for marketing at that size. So social media is actually one of the best ways, the free ways, we like those, to talk about your business. Because as a business owner, I know a lot of us are from Minnesota, but as a business owner, it's your job to self-promote.
Yep.
Minnesotans suck at it in general. Midwesterners just
it's terrible.
Not the forte.
Oh, we kind
of have to. And it's something I've had to really work on and develop over time. But by not talking about what you do, you're showing like a lack of trust in your own stuff.
Absolutely.
Your own brand. So by talking about it and being proud of that, people want to support that. The communities here, they support local big time. So by showing that you're just a real human out there taking care of other real humans, that's important, and it connects and it endears to you as a service provider. So would content creation in your mind change at all when we're talking like business services?
Like B2B?
Yeah, like B2B.
Sure. So
somebody's a vendor for...
Yeah. I mean, I think just the simplest things, we had this conversation earlier, was just like building out your processes, like SOPs, like standard operating procedures, like how... Just archive that on video. That's going to expedite your process. Perhaps it's even a training for a potential client or, back to the home services. It's like if you've got common frequently asked question or something, somebody always calls you because you got to jiggle the handle or whatever, right? And it's just like, if you can solve that problem in a 2-minute video, then they're going to come back to you for the project that you really, that's going to be a bigger budget or it's going to be more labor intensive because you gave them that free game.
And you're also demonstrating to the customer that like your hip's not the right word. That makes me probably seem older than I am, but it means that you're leveraging technology within your business, which demonstrates somebody that usually runs a decent business nowadays, because there's kind of this divide that still exists somehow in 2025 where like the older generation where we're still kicking out paper invoices and mailing checks and all that. That still exists. Yeah. And it's painful sometimes, but that transition is even more painful from being without paper or from being with paper and everything being there. That's how I came into Abracadabra. We were at that state. I immediately knew we were changing that. Like this was project numero uno. Like we're moving forward.
You have to embrace the technology.
You have to. Like we still have paper. Paper is good, but speed in business is deadly.
Yes.
Like speed, you can do so much and you can accelerate timelines. So those things that would take 5, 10, 15 years when it's all paper, because it's just slow, communication is slow between people in your business, whatever it might be. Nowadays, we can get that stuff done in like a year.
Yep.
2 years. And so what that does for our capabilities to grow and expand as a business it gives you those extra 8 to 13 years, which is incredibly powerful. So if you're not doing it, it's kind of just the easy way. You're taking the easy way. Learning stuff is hard. Yeah, I get that. But by embracing it, you might slow down, but then it just is like a bullet getting shot out. Like once you get it, it does so much for you. I'll get off my soapbox here, but
it's true though. And that also pairs with that consistency, because if you do the incremental growth on a daily basis, that applies to content creation. If you are consistently thinking about it, it's not like, I mean, most people it's like, oh, it's Monday, it's content day or something like that. It's like, if that works for you, great. But most people, it doesn't work for. So if you're thinking of it from the standpoint of, I'm at this location, or I'm with this networking group, or I'm meeting a new client, how could I either turn this into maybe a blog, or could I get some video content out of this? Could I do a quick walkthrough tour of that person's place and then cross post it on my social media with theirs? So now twice as many people are seeing that video.
Cross-pollination, yeah.
So it's thinking critically about the opportunity for creating content as opposed to thinking you have to create content.
That's good. And I would argue that creating something is better than doing nothing.
100%.
That analysis paralysis, people get caught in that all the time.
Well, and the perfectionism, I'm super guilty of it, but it's just like, you just have to post. Just do it. Just do it. Nobody cares.
So let's ramp it up. Let's go. So we got companies that are north of $1 million now. They got like 8 to 15 people.
Yep.
The business owner, the guy that used to be doing the video and creating the content himself, now he's overwhelmed because he's got people he's got to manage, he's got leadership in place.
Yep.
But there's more budget that's there. So how does a business like that, how would you recommend they approach the idea of content creation at that point in the business?
That's a good question. So, I mean, the way I would approach it would be, if you have that CEO, that figurehead, that president who still is the brand, who is the recognizable person in the brand. I don't know who I'm talking about, but if that's the case, then you would just structure out the content with that person that aligns with their timing, because obviously they have different things they're working on now. And then the other cool thing that you can do is you can start to hire talent. So there's actually, you can hire an actor to be a spokesperson for your brand, if that aligns with your brand.
That's smart. A lot of small businesses probably never think about that.
Well, and
it takes that fear of revealing your authentic self. It takes it out of the picture.
Absolutely. Well, and then you can script it out in such a way, and the performance is based on, perhaps you want to be a little more rough around the edges, if that's your brand, if you're trying to be more relatable as opposed to being super polished. I mean, I think that authenticity still has to play, but you can hire an actor, and an actor can read scripts, can hit marks, can, embellish, can improvise, all of these things that it's really hard to consider. Memorizing lines is difficult, especially if you're a CEO type and you're like, I got 6 other things today. That, I don't want to deal with it. And it doesn't come across genuine and all these things. It's like, there's opportunities to accelerate that content, building out that creative team, so that now you're partnering with a group of creatives as opposed to just buying video by video.
Because it's content creation for social media. This is a new business vertical.
Correct.
And with that, there's people that specialize in it. And I know at that stage in the business, outsourcing was something I wish I had done more of, because what we're really good at as a service provider or as a operator at that point, we need to spend as much time doing that and make sure everyone on our team is doing that to ensure efficiency when it comes to bringing revenue into the business. And by having team members focus on managing social media with that, it can become really difficult to do anything effectively. So at that point, outsourcing the creation, the strategy, all that to somebody that's their skill set, they can get it done faster with a little spend involved. But you hire an actor, you do one shoot a month, let's say 2-3
have
grand.
A photographer, have it,
whatever it is.
The cool thing is now you have the opportunity to turn one project. If I was doing that Doritos commercial again today, I would document the script writing. I would document the casting. I would document the costume design. I would document, we had a miniature horse. I would document the process of going to rent a miniature horse.
One of my employees has a mini horse.
But it's just like, these are the components that people see the finished commercial and they go, oh, that's nice. But they don't realize what goes into it.
And so that's the magic of like Netflix stuff nowadays, dude. Like that's what they do. They just document this stuff that they also did. And now it's like, it's bonus content. One. And the stuff that actually ends up being the thing that drives people towards the thing you were creating was the behind the scenes stuff.
Exactly.
Like all the stuff that you don't think is important. No. That's the stuff. So the stuff where you're getting all anxious and you're worried about where you're about to go do the thing.
Yep.
That's the thing. That's what matters because it's authentic.
Exactly. And it shows your process.
And it shows the issues that come up.
Correct. The problems.
The problems.
Yes.
And I think that makes the whole experience for anybody that watches something like that, they see that it's real. Right. And then what I see is now you can see that it's doable.
Yeah.
Because somebody else did it and you saw the human component to that. So now it's not this big pie in the sky. Those are people. They had tools and resources. They used the iPhone a couple of times. I got that. And now you start connecting dots and you go and can bring it to your own business. And appreciating what goes into it. So you're something like that. If I were to send that clip with all that extra content to a new potential client, they're not going to come back at me and go, so what can I get for $500? They're going to go, wow, that was really impressive. What does something like that cost? Right. So you're already sifting out the people who are going to, race to the bottom to try to get as cheap a content as possible. You're going, okay, well, see all of the value that you're getting from this holistic approach to content. Fascinating. So how would you recommend, I think I know your answer already, but engaging the employees on a team like that from, the CEO or the president, whatever, they're going to have some certain level of involvement. Yep. But now to get that stuff in the field, now we're talking about how do we engage with our team so that they got a job to do, they can do that, but this becomes an easy part of what they're already doing and we can use it to create more opportunities for them to keep doing that.
Absolutely. And I think it boils down to who's interested, right? So you've got a company culture. What is involved in that? Because like everybody wants to start a podcast. Everybody wants to be an influencer. And I'm speaking more on the younger age range spectrum, but ultimately some people like to be on camera. So figure out who those people are in your company and the work will do itself. Like just turn the camera on the people who are most interesting in your company, who have the best stories. It's storytelling. That's all we're doing. We're storytelling. So tell the story of your business, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything. And then the stars will start to shine. And then perhaps they move into a different department because they're more of a client-facing person than a IT person or something like that, right? It's like utilize the stuff you already have before bringing in new stuff because you saw somebody else be successful with it. Because chances are you're not going to, almost guaranteed you're not going to be successful because somebody else was.
Just asking that question and seeing who, like that's really smart because now it's not, we need engagement from everybody. It's, we are going to talk to these 3 people and we're going to put our focus there. And that laser focus allows for the needle to move forward and you can get better stuff.
And chances are they have some cool ideas.
And they probably like it too.
Yeah, they do.
So now they're having fun, they're involved and engaged and that's powerful. Like we've gone through different iterations of it, but at the end of the day, part of like a core part of our business is we show that stuff. We engage our team because Abracadabra has not been just Matt for a long time. Like Abracadabra is now everybody else that's on the team. It's the communities we serve and all that. But you gotta show that, and you can't show that with this like buttoned up perfect.
You can't script bow. That. You can't.
And like you can try, but people don't even want to watch that. Like it. Like unless there's humor or education or something that's there, you're doing it just for the sake of doing it. And you might as well just let your 11-year-old nephew follow you around with a iPhone.
With some direction, but sure. Yeah.
Obviously.
He's going to be famous on YouTube.
So where, like you talk to a lot of businesses as you're going through, you got a really cool space here at Green Screen Studio created where you're bringing all these creatives together. Do you want to talk about the business of social media content creation?
artists. That's it. That's what it needs to be. I think the content comes from an artistic mind, whether that's you as the business owner or somebody that you bring in. But I think it's the only industry, you never hear starving lawyer, right? So it's the only industry that's required to do things for free or to do things for cheap. And it's like, I want to incentivize working with true talented people who this is their thing. This is their main career, and they want to be successful. They want to work with other businesses who need their services, but it's not a transactional relationship. It's a collaborative relationship, so that you are actually investing in your community with your business. You're targeting the people who will use your business, and you also have a built-in team of people that can help you consistently on a weekly, monthly basis. And so now you're not relying on, well, which company am I going to hire to do this piece? Which company am I hiring to do this piece? It's basically the artists. The artists are doing that, whether that's a graphic designer or, an editor or photographer, videographer. So if it, kind of bring it back to square one, which is, where does the content come from? And I would argue the content comes from the artists. Start there. Build that relationship, and your process of creating content is going to be that much smoother.
And it needs to be more than one video too.
Absolutely.
Like, it has to be part of like a greater mission for the business. And it's just one of the tools that's involved there, but it's where we spend all our time nowadays. So people talk about it more.
Why would you worry yourself with having to come up with the content and the ideation and how it would influence your target market? Why, if that's not your skill set, if that's not what you enjoy, then bring in people who enjoy that and pay them what they're worth and
free your time back up to do it.
Free your time, and you're going to get better results. You're going to get, you think about these young kids who are building portfolios and things. It's like, how cool would that be if straight out of college, I got to work with a local brand that's doing cool stuff, and I got to influence their marketing strategy? That's going to look so much better in a portfolio than, hey, I did this for free for, a friend, right?
It's very different, the formality behind it, but people are growing up wanting to be YouTubers or wanting to be social media influencers. Slow down, Matt. Nowadays. So if we want to train them, you got to get them early. So how do we do that? We create internships. We've created them. You've got them going on over here at Green Screen as well. So that you can work with this young talent to create these pieces of content and really the real world work experience, so that they can take this and do whatever it is in their future. And part of that is you're working with them and they're learning and you're going through that process, but they also bring things to the table for you that blow your freaking mind sometimes,
Because the software is so easy now. You literally just and I can't even do it, which is ridiculous because I know all of the platforms. And so it's very humbling, but these young kids are very capable. They just need some mentorship, really, and the ability to have a little bit longer leash to make a few mistakes, but you're going to get good results from these people who are consuming. They're basically had a cell phone out of the womb. Yeah,
they grew up integrated where we're in a generation where we had to go through that learning. It's almost like immersion school.
Totally.
They had the immersion early on. We had to come in and start studying that in college or whatever, right? So our depth of learning is not going to be the same. It's not going to be as natural. The speed's not going to be as there. We're going to have to work harder.
Totally.
Right. So that I think is very leverageable. And it's something that, we do have a couple spots open for the internships we've got this summer. So nice. That was a soft sell there.
I like it.
So check it out there. I know we're kind of coming to time here, Gabe. I appreciate you coming on. We're going to have to get you on again, talking more about just structuring of a podcast, the steps to do that, because I think there's so much value for the business owners out there that are listening, and you can make it as easy, as hard, as expensive, as cheap as you want, pretty much.
Right.
And it comes down to the time inputs and availability of resources that you have.
And once again, consistency. Like I always tell people, the statistic is most people don't make it past 7 episodes of a podcast. So unless you're willing to commit 100 episodes, it may not be for you. That's just the truth.
I appreciate you coming on the Homegrown Hustle podcast today, Gabe. I got one question I got to ask. So what is the definition of hustle to you in terms of business?
Yeah. I think it's just going for it and the belief that if you can fail forward and don't give up, you're going to succeed.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thanks everybody for joining us on the Homegrown Hustle. Another great episode. You're going to be seeing some more from the studio over here at Green Screen. So be ready for like a background change. I don't know if we can do any like fancy stuff here, but you might see some of that. We appreciate all the support. We love getting guests on like Gabe and another great people with awesome experiences in their business to try to bring value to you guys. So the more support we can get from you, more likes and shares we can get, the more awesome guests we can bring on. So thanks again for the support. Keep hustling.
Thanks again for joining us on Homegrown Hustle. Our local business community thrives because of the brilliant leaders right here in our backyard. And it's been an absolute privilege to provide them with a platform to share their invaluable expertise. Stay tuned for more insight, wisdom, and inspiration from our local business champions. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Together, we'll continue to nurture and expand our homegrown success stories. Matt Eichmann signing off until our next insightful episode.